I was born a prince, and my name is Eivor. But I had a twin, you see. His name is Lucas. And ever since I turned 8, he became the one who lived my life for me. They locked me up in a tower, and no one is allowed to enter or leave but my mother and the maids who served me. Lucas was smart. He was cunning, and he quickly realized, with our uncle and the Archduke's prodding, that since I was born a few seconds before Lucas, I could get in the way of his ambition for the crown. He was wrong. I never had the desire to rule, and we would all be living different lives now if he would only had thought to ask. My own twin betrayed me for a piece of jewelry on his head. On our 8th birthday, he ordered our uncle to have me seized while everyone was sleeping, and he had me thrown into a tower. They came up with a fake illness to keep me away, and because our births had not been made public before then, he could easily get away with saying that Lucas was the true-born heir. No one in the outside world knew he had a twin. But still, rumors persisted amongst the palace maids and servants. "Have you heard? They say a phantom lives in that tower." "Are you 5, Ingrid? There's no such things as phantoms." "I heard it's a secret prince. My friend Wilma is one of the tower maids. She says he's monstrous. It's why his existence is a secret to the world. They say he wears an iron mask to hide his gruesome face." They told me I was allergic to sunlight. They even brought doctors in to prove it. The windows and doors to my tower were kept shut and boarded up at all times. I wasn't allowed outside. And if I ever did get lucky enough to be allowed to sit in the gardens, I was made to wear 3 massive cloaks that shielded every bit of my skin. As I grew older, I also grew closer to my maid, Nora. She was the one who always caught me sneaking out. There was a window in the dungeons that was never fully boarded up, and I used it as a getaway to get outside. I would go out on starry nights, and I'd stare up out there, wishing I could see the world. And Nora would suddenly appear, already knowing where I was before I even got there. "You know better than to sneak out like this, my prince. But the stars are so beautiful, and so are you." I could tell Nora was turning red. "Come inside, before the guards find us, and we'll both get in trouble." The whispers around the palace was that my twin brother was set to marry our uncle's daughter, our second cousin Freya. I may not know much about the outside, but I saw through our uncle's master plan in an instant. I realized that Uncle aligned himself with Lucas for one thing alone. He too had desires to control the kingdom. If Lucas and Freya have a successor, I was willing to bet that Uncle Anders would get rid of Lucas so that he could control the future king. I was 15 when I realized all this, and when I saw that my uncle was playing a long game, it got me thinking, what if all this were just little pieces in his master game of chess? The beautiful maids that kept me happy and content to live in a tower, the illnesses, the iron mask, Lucas's engagement. Was I even allergic to sunlight? I had so many questions, and they could only be answered in the daylight. So the next morning, I slipped away. All consequences be damned. If I was truly ill, I would suffer. But if it turned out that my hunch was correct, I would be free. So I took the risk. I ran out of the tower and shed all of my cloaks, and for the first time, I felt the sun on my skin. It stung, and I almost ran back in. I looked up and the brightness was blinding. I was afraid. For those few seconds, I thought my uncle was right all along. But then my eyes readjusted, and my skin got used to the warm, tingling feeling of sunlight. And it felt amazing. The guards saw me and tried to capture me, but I danced around them and laughed. I dodged their attempts to capture me, and I ran. Nora came running at me, and I took her hand, hoping to run away with her. But she held me, and she helped the guards take me back to the tower. That was when I saw that every part of my life was controlled by my twin and my uncle, even the part where I fell in love with their beautiful spy. Nora informed Uncle Anders of my discovery, and the tower guards tripled. It was one stormy night when hope came back to me. A maid, unlike the ones in the tower, came to me. She was Astrid, the one maid the others laughed at for not being as pretty as them. She unlocked my bedroom door and led me through a secret passage behind a tapestry, down a winding staircase in a tunnel made of stone. We walked for hours, and when we surfaced, it was morning. "My prince, this is my father's farm. I am Princess Astrid from the House of Sorensen." "Sorensen? The ones who were branded traitors? Unhand me! I'll call for guards!" "My prince, you are wrong. My father was not a traitor. He was framed by your uncle. My father was the only one who knew the truth about what happened to your late father, King, and to see to it that his secrets and lies disappear forever. The Archduke toppled my family and got rid of my father. Now our kingdom is lost, but I can at least help you save yours." When I heard that my own uncle was responsible for my father's illness, rage filled me. I wanted revenge, and for the first time in my life, I wanted the crown. As Astrid and I lived a humble farm life, we plotted our return. Meanwhile, in the palace, Lucas had already married Freya. Lucas was crowned king immediately after. His reign was that of excess. He held lavish balls, and he stole the people's taxes to fund his expensive tastes. Private jet trips around the world, exclusive island resorts, weekends in luxurious casinos, and girls. Lots and lots of gold-digging girls that he formed a harem with. On the night before our planned return to the palace, there was a storm, and our farmhouse was broken into by assassins. Astrid and I tried to fight them off, but there were too many of them, until Astrid threw herself at them. "Run, my prince! Run!" I didn't want to. I couldn't. But if I didn't, everything would be in vain. Astrid's sacrifice would have been for nothing. So I ran into the storm, into the forest, where I hid in a bush until I fell asleep. In the morning, I woke up in a farmer's cart on my way into town. Where am I?
"We found you in the woods. It's all everyone's been talking about, my prince."
"How did you—"
"The ground has ears, your royal highness, and we know a pretender king when we see one. He steals from us while we starve. You've lived among us, and you suffered the same things we do. You are the one who should sit on that throne, my prince."
As Lucas readied his army to attack me, the people were rising up for me. They came from all corners of the kingdom, and they rallied around me. We got word from our spies that Lucas was set to attack the village the next morning. What he failed to take into account was that the palace was surrounded by small farming villages, and all those villages supported me. We all wore iron masks as a symbol of our revolution. By dawn, we had the palace surrounded. The citizens from those villages came in droves from all sides. None of their army could even get out of the gates. The siege of the palace lasted a mere 20 minutes. Lucas stepped down from the throne. Uncle Anders had to be dragged from it. Astrid, Lucas, and Uncle Anders were brought before my court, and from a corner of the room, I came out. "Astrid, you betrayed me from the start. You manipulated my heart and used me to your advantage. For that, you were sentenced to life in jail for your act of treason. Lucas, you exchanged family for gold, and for that, you are forever exiled from our kingdom. Uncle."
"A king who hides behind a mask. Who would follow you? You'll never get away with this. Our allies will rise up. Our family will reject you, usurper!"
The real usurper here is you, and what you'll never get away with is what you did to our father. No one saw that coming. Not even Lucas. You conspired to take the crown for yourself. You made ill our father king. You locked me up in a tower for 15 years and had me wear an iron mask. You manipulated my brother and married him to your daughter so you may one day control the throne. For this, and all your crimes, you are sentenced to serve the rest of your life as prisoner in the Jorvik mines.
"I will not stand for this. You have no proof."
"But he does." Everyone's eyes turned to our mother, the queen, who finally, after 15 years of silence, spoke again. She brought forth Astrid, and she revealed in front of everyone who she was. The maids who used to insult her bowed and knelt to her, asking for her forgiveness. She told everyone of Uncle Anders' evil schemes, and how they led to us losing our father. As the guards took the three away, I finally took off the mask and revealed my face. The whole room gasped. They expected a monster, someone deformed and ugly. Instead, my face shone like the sun, and even Lucas paled in comparison to me. Several girls fainted. "No, please, brother, don't exile me. Anything but exile. We were brothers." I laughed. True, we were brothers. And you conspired to lock me up in a tower for your own benefit. You were right. You don't deserve exile. you don't deserve a life out there with your freedom. Hear this. For every year you stole from me, you will spend a decade in that tower." Lucas screamed in desperation, and hearing this, his entire harem came running to me and deserted him. Astrid blossomed into a beautiful woman, and we both turned 18. We had a royal wedding like no other. The villagers, the farmers, the maids, they were all invited to a feast that lasted 3 days. And when the bells rang at the end of the ceremony, our people celebrated our first kiss with a cascade of 1,000,000 petals that fell on us from above.